What is going on, everybody? My name's Dakota and welcome back to Coda's Colognes. Today we are going to be doing a full presentation and full review of Azzaro, the most wanted parfum. Stick around. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pop the top off of this and we are going to check the atomizer. So I'm going to go ahead and actually, this pretty good. I mean, doesn't project real far, but it spreads it out real wide. So I'll go ahead and put two on there. And the opening note on this is very intense. So it actually, to me, you have to give this 1 or 2 minutes to settle down to get to some of that real smoothness. Speaking of opening notes, I'm gonna go ahead and flip y'all around, get this thing spinning, and we'll do a note breakdown. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get into the box real quick. So a lot of these boxes are gonna have a lot of the same, I feel like, industry standard. You're gonna have your name, the logo, the concentration, and then it's gonna have 100 ml vaporizer spray. Not really much going on the sides. On the back, it actually has less than normal. A lot of colognes these days seem to be telling you like if they're hypoallergenic, all natural ingredients, the recycled stuff like that. This doesn't seem to have that, which that doesn't really bother me necessarily, but it is what it is. And then on this side, it's got one of the little quotes so everybody can kind of see how that's looking. And then on the bottom, it has the recycle QR code, stuff like that. And then on the top, it has actually to me is what looks the best. So it has a full breakdown of everything you get. But Azzaro, that infamous 6-shooter cylinder. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get this bottle spinning up for you, as you know we all like to do. As this bottle's spinning, I'm gonna go ahead and get into a note breakdown. So on Azzaro is, I don't want to say infamous, but they're kind of stronger about keeping a lot of their notes a little more hidden. So by a lot of the stuff I've been able to find out about this, they kept it as pretty simple as possible. The top note is going to be red ginger. The middle note is going to be wood accords and wood notes. I would imagine probably a form of cedar wood, maybe some oud, something like that probably went into this. And then the base notes, which is going to be what I love the most, is going to be that bourbon vanilla. So you're going to get that sweet bourbon smell out of this. Very nice smell, done it very well. So as I'm smelling this, as I'm having it break down, everything else, that vanilla is very strong, but it's not too sweet. It's a very woody, warm, sweet smell that it projects very well. It smells very good. Now, this was one of my favorite releases of 2022. This cologne is blended very well. It's a little harsh when it first comes out of the bottle. It takes about 5 minutes for that smell to start to dial back a little bit, and then when it does, it swings around and gets very, very good. But now that we have showcased the bottle a little bit, I went over some of the notes a little bit. Let me get y'all flip back around. So one of the things that I love most about this cologne is it has such a warm vanilla feeling to it. It's a scent that you can fall in love with. It has a smokiness to it. It has a sweetness to it, but it's not a candy sweet. It's very much I don't know. It's almost hard to describe. You know it's there. It's that vanilla like raw sweetness that just gets to you. It's one that's going to be worn more as a winter fragrance and a fall fragrance. It would be hard to wear this one during the summer months just because the projection is going to be a little too much for most. You'd be able to kind of suffocate a room real easy. What makes this such a good like evening time winter fragrance is the warm vanilla this thing projects out, the smokiness that this thing puts out. They don't go over it in the notes, but I would be surprised if this didn't have a smoky incense note somewhere in there, because it's definitely present. And that's one of the things that I love most about it. Like I said, when this came out last year, it immediately was a top 5 cologne for me. Like, I genuinely enjoyed this cologne. But what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go over the pricing and availability of this. Availability wise, it's not discontinued. It doesn't look like it's gonna be discontinued anytime soon, because even a new fragrance will get discontinued very quickly. So every retailer should have it, most discounters should have it. And then as far as pricing, so your normal retail for the 100 ml bottle is gonna be somewhere in the $120 range, and your normal retail for a 50 ml bottle is gonna be somewhere in the $90 to $100 range. Now, as I like to do on this channel, I like to give discounters a solid chance as well. If you find a trusted discounter, you will save a lot of money in the long run, especially if you're someone who loves buying fragrances and you love having different scents. And especially if you love having one for all times of days and seasons. At most discounters, you're gonna be able to find this for the 100 ml somewhere between the $80 to $90 range. I think it was Fragrance Net recently, as well as Amazon on Prime Day. They had this exact bottle going for $60. That is a steal. Kind of mad that I paid $90 for mine, but what can you do? Yeah, it is what it is. On to the next thing. So the projection of this cologne is wonderful. This is a very forward projecting cologne. If you walk in an office wearing this, 3 sprays, everyone's gonna know you're there. This is a very good projecting cologne. And the sillage is very well too. You could probably have someone 4 or 5 feet behind you and they're going to smell you as if they were right behind you. This cologne is a very thick cologne and it lasts forever. This is a cologne that is in the 8 to 12 hour range, and you could probably get more out of that. As I've said before, I like to layer my cologne. I actually like to layer my cologne on itself. That is something that I would like to get into. A lot of people, when they layer colognes, they like layering 2 different scents to complement each other, which that does work very well. I'm not going to take anything away from that. But when you layer a cologne on top of itself, the top notes tend to stick to the base notes that's already there. And to me, you don't get a new scent, but you get a wider range of the scent. And it turns into something that is really, really good. The first time I ever discovered that was actually I was at work and I started freshening up at work because my fragrances weren't really getting me all the way through the day, but I don't spray heavy. I do work indoors, but I work in an enormous building that's heated and cooled. Normally I'm a 3 to 4 spray kind of guy. So I started freshening up about halfway through the day, and that turned into 5 to 7, but that got me through the entire day. Well, I was wearing Dolce & Gabbana the 1 EDP, and as everybody knows, that fragrance tends to fall on its face after a couple hours. It smells wonderful. I genuinely love the smell, but it doesn't really have a staying power. Well, I freshened up, and I noticed about halfway through the day, some different notes kind of started hitting me. I was getting different whiffs of different things, and I was like, well, that's interesting. And then all of a sudden it was 7 hours later and I could still smell every bit of it. So when you lay a cologne on top of itself, it helps itself so much that I started doing it every day just because I like doing it. The projection becomes bigger, the sillage gets a little bit better, but it doesn't overwhelm you. It still hits you very softly. That's what I started doing with all of them. And on this particular one right here, when you layer this one on itself, the ginger and wood and bourbon vanilla, you end up being able to sustain and hold all 3 through the entirety of wearing it. The smokiness is wonderful. It is a really, really good cologne. I cannot stress that enough. This is one of my favorites. With that being said, that is going to be my fragrance tip of the day, is if you feel like a cologne isn't performing the way you think it should, layer it on itself and see if the performance doesn't get just a little bit better for you or last a little bit longer. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the Azzaro Most Wanted Parfum review. This cologne right here, I would pay $118 for this. For a 100 ml, I don't think I'd go any higher than that though. At that point, I think you would really start looking at discounters. The main reason I got mine at discounters is the local store that I go to get most of mine was actually sold out. Because sometimes I get impatient. If there's a new cologne and I try it and I really like it, I will buy it on site. And sometimes that does lead to I'll overpay every now and then, only if it's one that I genuinely have fallen in love with. This one right here, 118, I think it would be worth it. Any more than that, may look at a discounters. But yeah, so that is going to be all the topics I would like to touch on today. I'm going to go ahead and show off this bottle, this nice looking bottle, just one more time. And as always, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you everyone for subscribing, liking the videos, all the support and the feedback I've gotten for the channel. I genuinely appreciate that. So thank you everyone. And as always, we'll see you next time.